Omadid, and welcome to Monday's stream of Las Plumas de Simur. My name is Plumas, and I'm gonna be your host for this reading afternoon. Very cozy. How are you? I missed you. I know. I haven't been in here in such a long time. February's just been quite a month, if I'm honest. I don't know if you caught up with this, on almost social media, but I finally did my thesis viva, and I am happy to announce that I passed. I've passed my viva with minor corrections, so now I am just one tiny step closer of becoming a doctor. Dr. Plumas is on the way, and I'm very excited. Although it was a tiring week. It was tiring, and it was 2 weeks ago. I had to go to Madrid to the presentation of my book about Journey, the video game. So it's been quite a handful of events this February month. But that is no excuse. I am here now, and we are to proceed, continuing the reading of the Book of Kings. If I'm completely honest with you, I had to, first of all, look up, and thanks to the Plumas of the past for this bookmark over here, because if I didn't use the bookmark, I would be so lost, because stories in the Shāh-nāmeh tend to repeat themselves quite a lot, and unless it's one that I've worked with consistently, say the story of Zahag, the story of Zal, or the story of Rostam, or maybe a little bit in the future, the story of Bijan and Manije, I do not remember where I'm at, because there's a lot to remember. Remember, this is like 60,000 verses, so it's quite challenging to remember where you are in every single moment. Hello, Saladis, I didn't see you comment here. Hi, salam. And but yeah, what was I saying? I completely lost it. Doesn't matter. So I am very happy to. Oh yes, that I had to look this up and then play one of my last live streams to actually remember in which part it was stopped. Hello, Waxen, how are you? Oh, long time no see you. How are you? I hope you're doing good. All right, so everything's good in here. I'm gonna stop the music from playing, and just hoping everyone's doing well. I am actually relieved that my vibe is past now, although that doesn't mean the work is over, but I am freshly and renewed and much more happy and much more calmed, if I'm allowed to say that. So yeah, it was good. It was a nice viva. My examiners were very happy with my thesis. I could talk about that for a little while if you want to, but I don't think you're very interested in hearing the misfortunes of a very tired PhD, almost doctoral student. So shall we proceed? I'm not having tea though. I'm having some peppermint tea, you can call it. I'm really sad that there is no proper word in English for boleo, so I'm just going to use the Spanish one. Having some issues with the schedule. Oh, you mean because, oh yeah, I know I've been very inconsistent. I know, it's just what's happened. But you know, life, that's the reason I tell you to keep up on the social media, so you can know when there's a live stream and when not. So normally Monday would be for the English live stream, and Thursday for the Spanish one. However, it's been a lot. This past month has been a lot, and I am just human. And there is just so much I can reach to. Hello, Veronicas. There's just so much I can do. There's just so much I actually achieve to juggle with at the same time. So I'm actually very happy to say this, but I am an adult, an adult that's consistent with her life. And what I mean with this is I am not ashamed of taking a break whenever I need it, because it's not easy having a permanent job, a family, a Twitch channel, and just a whole project and things going behind the scenes that you don't know about, but my patrons do. So if you want to know what's coming, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/. That brings me to say hello to my patrons, hello to my tier Murshid and my tier Ashdad, my highest tiers. Thank you for your support, because this is because of people like you I can be here. So I was saying I'm drinking poleo, and I refuse to use the English word peppermint because it's not peppermint, it's poleo, it's a different plant. And I like the sound of poleo, and actually this one my family grows in their garden, so extra special. This was the one with a fancy lead and the fancy filter, but I took it out because of obvious reasons. So let's just continue the reading of the Shāh-nāmeh, and we stopped. Oh my god, we're still in the middle of a war. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, the nation of Iran was in the middle of a very bloody and anguishing war, and the last bit we read was I'm not going to make the summary. I'm really sorry. So I don't know if sacerdotisa is there, but I think Shiva, I think you're my only moderator here. So could you please post on the chat the playlist on YouTube for all the readings of the Book of Kings in case you want to catch up? British cultural appropriation of poleo. What? I'm not British. I'm Spanish. That's the reason I can say poleo properly. So I'm not and I live in Spain, so that's not cultural appropriation. I'm just taking this from my family's garden and taking it in my house. So, what? You thought, but you know I'm not British, do you? I think I mean, do you think? Wait a second. Did you thought I was British? I'm not. I'm like, sorry to disappoint you. So I am 50% Spanish and 50% Spanish, which makes me 100% Española. So, I mean, they got the poleo thing and changed the name. It's not the same plant. I really and honestly believe they're two different plants, and I don't think poleo grows actually in the Midlands. Maybe it does, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm talking about, but poleo and peppermint are not the same thing. You heard it here first. So what was I saying? I'm completely losing my train of thought, but that's because I missed you so much, and I really miss catching up with you guys and talking and just chatting in here. I've missed my Twitch channel, I have to say, and I miss my audience a lot. So yeah, war. What a time to be reading this part on the Shāh-nāmeh. The last bit we read actually was that the youngest son of a person named Tahmas, whose name was Zab, not Zol, Zab, as in Z-A-V, was the person chosen to take over the throne of Iran because he was blessed with the Far. And now we are gonna learn about that very brief kingdom. I don't know if that was a spoiler or not, but this is brief. Like, this is not a kingship that's going to last very much. So, yeah. So, and let me just quickly reread some paragraphs because if I'm not mistaken, this is a very young kid. They could find no one but Zab, the son of Tahmasp, to renew the glories of Feridun's crown. Karen, together with priests and the lords of the marches, took the good news to him that they would inherit the crowns in Zol, and the army wished him to be king. That's right, because they offered the crown to Zol, and Zol, bless his soul, heart, body, and every single little hair in his white-haired head, he said no, because he was not of royal blood and he knew his place. You know how he pronounced this very moving speech about tradition and being able to mix tradition and the ancient values, but at the same time to be able to look up to the future in hope and with this kind of wish of development for the kingship. So he doesn't think he has that. He would be a magnificent king if you actually ask me, but not this time. So Zab, sorry, wrong pipe. That means I need to take a sip of water. Have you missed Venom? Apologize, Vashid Lulujun. Zab ascended the throne on an auspicious day, and Zol swore loyalty to him. An old man in his 80th year, a very old man. Oh, so he's not young. He's very old. Yeah, that was it. That was what it was at. Zab is a very old man. I knew this was not going to last long. So, an old man in his 80th year, Zab reigned only for 5 years. In that time, he made the world young again with his justice and goodness. He stopped the army from committing crimes and prevented them from arbitrarily arresting people and killing them. And he communicated in his heart with God. A nice person. At that time, the world was suffering from a famine. The ground was desiccated and the plants withered. No winds blew, no rain fell from heavens, and bread was worth its weight in gold. Because if it was not enough with just having the Turkic people, the Germanic tribes, the Turanians just ravaging the land, now we have a famine. Because why not? Because Ferdos is really up for the drama in this part of the book. For 8 months, the two armies faced one another, but did not fight, because their strength had been broken by the famine. So the soldiers are in such a poor state. They're so hungry, they cannot barely stand, and definitely, let alone just wield their arms, the armors, and the weapons. People said to one another, "It is our fault that this evil has fallen on us from the heavens." From both armies, cries of hunger could be heard, and a messenger from Afrasiab. Do you remember Afrasiab? The psychopath. Of course he's still there. Of course. Get used to him, because he's going to be here for a while. And yes, I'm going to continue addressing him as the psychopath every single time, because he bloody is. A messenger from Afrasiab came to Zab, saying, "Our fate in this fleeting world is nothing but pain and grief. Let us divide our lands and invoke God's blessing on one another." So now you're a pious heart, aren't you, Afrasiab? Sorry, he really pisses me off. Our nobles are exhausted by war, and this famine means we must not delay in making peace. So they're gonna sign a truce, but only because they're hungry and they know they cannot continue. I mean, they can, but at the expense of exhausting one another, and that would lead to no good. God bless Polio. Oh my God, this is good. They swore that they would not harbor hatred for one another in their hearts, and they would divide their lands justly and according to precedent, and that they would bear no grudge against one another for the past. Sure. Beyond the Oxus River and into China and Khotan was to belong to Afrasiab, and Zab and Zol had no power beyond the border where the Turks' tents were pitched. For their part, the Turks would not advance into Iran. Although Zab was an old man, the war was renewed under his rule. He led his army to Pars, and Zol returned to Zawolistan. Do not go far, Zal Azizam, they're gonna need you here soon. Then the mountain tops echoed with thunder. The world flourished again with the colours and scents of flowers, and the land filled with streams, gardens, and flowing water. The earth was as lovely as a young bride, because when men do not have tigerish natures, she is not harsh and grudging to them. This is kind of a little bit mention of karma, for example. For those here is acknowledging that when mankind, especially when men are cruel to each other, somehow creation bites back, because at the end of the day, under the designation of God, they don't want us to fight among each other. They want us to be kind to each other. However, humankind has this thing for conflict and this thing for bloodshedding that is not something the world allows or permits entirely, in the sense that, see, for example, there's been a very cruel and raw war, and the creation has responded with famine to stop it. So I really like this in the Shāh-nāmeh, because creation, earth around the characters, plays a part, is another character that responds to the circumstances and reacts to the events. And that is something I really, really enjoy from this book. Zab called his nobility together to give thanks to God, saying, "Abundance has replaced famine, and God held the keys to this change." Because of hello, Mrs. Rock and Roll, how are you? Because of course, everything we have, we owe to God. Everywhere festivities were held, and men emptied their hearts of anger and enmity. So 5 years passed without suffering. The truce only lasted 5 years, because then Zab reached the age of 86. His sun-like face faded. This kind, just man died, and the good fortune of Iran faded. Only 5 years of peace. And now, Afrasiab learns about Zab's death. So Afrasiab evacuated Ray and crossed the Oxus. But Pashang, do you remember Pashang? The original psychopath. Pashang is Afrasiab's father. The person that can contaminate absolutely everything and everyone he touches or he comes across with. Because that's what he does. He just poisons minds. That's it. The original psycho. Oh, he's sweet but a psycho, a little bit psycho. Pashang, whose heart was filled with hatred and his head with thoughts of war, sent his son no greetings. Afrasiab dispatched a messenger to him, but for months, for a year, he would not receive him. Do you see to what extent he's poisonous? His own son returns from war, and to be completely honest, he's performed pretty well for being such a young commander. He almost conquered Iran, and he sat in the throne of Iran for a solid amount of time. Yet, Pashang wants more. Pashang seeks, and it's thirsty for more and more. So he would refuse to see his own son. He would not receive him. How twisted up here you have to be to perform through such an attitude. Pashang's heart was stated with the throne and crown. He felt like a rusted sword, and he grieved for the death of Agridos, the death of a person your younger son killed. So you grieve for your eldest, but then you were the one on the first place to encourage your youngest to go to war, and you were the one in the second place to convince your eldest to accompany his brother, and eventually that god Agridos killed. I hate these characters so much. Hello, Serapis. How am I? I'm very good. Well, I'm not enjoying the reading because you know how the Shāh-nāmeh is, but I'm enjoying being here with you. I miss you all so much. What is it? What is that? Oh yeah, he grieved for the death of Agridas. I just cannot with this person. I really cannot. Cannot. No. Ah, Jesús bendito. Where was I? Oh, he sent an envoy to Afrasiab saying, the nerve, the audacity. He sent an envoy to Afrasiab saying, you should have been a friend to Agridas, but you shed your brother's blood and fled from that savage brought up by a bird. Well, excuse you right there. You're addressing the Queen of Heavens. You are talking about Simurgh. You be respectful. God in heaven. I want no more to do with you, and you will never see me again. And the award for Father of the Year is being discussed between, it's a tie between Sam and this mamon. How could he blame Afrasiab for the death of Agridas? It was him. I'm not excusing Afrasiab. Afrasiab is a psychopath, and I mourn the death of Agridas because Agridas is one of my favorite characters in the entire book, and that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot because there's a lot of characters in this book. Yet, how do you have the audacity to blame your youngest for something you encourage him to do? Have you lost your mind? Enloqueciste, hombre. So yeah, that's it. So Pashang would not see his son, and he thinks they can just go about their lives like that. Just wait a minute. I'm gonna fix up the lighting a little bit. It's better. Did I change something? I think I did. All right. So that's it. Time passed, and the three of calamities bore bitter fruit. Information reached the Turks that Zab had died and that the Iranian throne was empty. Again. And all the world's ears were filled with the news. The imperial throne lies idle. Pashang sent Afrasiab a letter. Now you remember you have a son? Pashang sent Afrasiab a letter saying, cross the Oxus and lead an army into Iran. Do not wait until someone occupies their throne. I am sending you into war against our enemy. So far, it is only your brother whom you've harmed. How? The nerve. So far, it is only your brother whom you've harmed. I really don't want to defend Afrasiab, but this kid ate up half of the Iranian armies himself. Like, he was a commander at a very ridiculously young age, because not even Agriras was above him. No, he was leading the Turkic troops into Iran, and he won, and he sat in the throne of Iran. So what is this? What's your business? What's your business, Pashang? It's just like, see, that is a very poisonous person. There's a very toxic attitude. And this is the way Ferdowsi, you know how Ferdowsi is very, this is a very Manichaean book. Like, there's good and there's bad. And there's no in between. There's no grays. There's no shades of gray in between. No, absolutely not. You're either a good person, you're a bad person, and that's it. Because remember, these characters, oh, I just pulled my own hair. Remember, these characters are to represent values and archetypes that we should either look up to and imitate and follow, or completely the opposite, we should run away from and avoid at all costs. So this is a very, very wrong person. Hello, Naseros. I only come to say hello because I've missed Plumas a lot. Oh, Azizam, I miss you too. I'm doing job interviews today. All right, but chat, I want some tea posted on the chat. I want some tea glasses posted in here, because Nosotros is going through interviews and I want to wish him good luck. So please, we'll have a cheers for him. Cheers to you, Nosotros. I'm pretty sure. Oh, you can see Chesam in there. I'm pretty sure you would do amazing, and even if they do not come up as expected, don't worry, we'll still have your back, and you are our loved and cared vizier. So yeah, this is to you, to nosotros. And now let's go back to the cycle. So yeah, so Afrasiab needs to go back to Iran again to do the same. Hello, Aaron. I just came back to say hello as I'm doing my final papers at the moment. So te quiere. Azizam. Oh, my vizier, my secretary. I was just coming. I just dropping by to say hello to me. Oh my God. I just que te como la cabeza. Thank you so much. Good luck with those grading papers. We will see you hopefully on Thursday. Hopefully. Yes. Will you come on Thursday? And yeah, just the last stretch. You can do this. You so can do this. And see you soon. So yeah, so Afrasiab needs to pack up his things, muster his armies, and go to Iran. Again. Yeah. So he led his troops from the plain of Sepinjab to the Oxus, and the earth seemed like a heaven raining down Indian soldiers. Because even if the Turanians are composed mainly of Turkic people, Turkic nomadic people, the Indians also fight by the side of Afrasiab, because this is the territory that belongs to them, according to the book. India is under control of Afrasiab. When the news reached Iran that Afrasiab was claiming the throne, the Iranians turned to Zal and addressed him harshly. Be careful on how you speak to my boy, okay? Gaining control of the world was an easy matter for you then? Since your father Sam died and you have been our champion, we have not known one day of happiness. Whoa, attitude in here. An army has crossed the Oxus and they are bearing down on us, obscuring the sun with the dust it sends up. If you have a solution to this crisis, put it into effect, because the Turkic people, the Turkic leader, will be here soon enough. Okay, demanding from a person that actually has protected you quite a lot. But what do you think? What do you think? Rostam, do you remember him? Rostam is coming into play now, and Zal has a plan. Zal said to the nobles, "Since I have bound on my belt to fight, no horseman like me has ever sat in the saddle. No one can wield my sword or mace, and I have fought night and day." That's right, Zal, as is, you tell them, because this is a very ungrateful people. They don't seem to remember everything you've done for them. Just saying. I have feared nothing but old age, and now that my back is bent and I cannot flourish my Kabuli dagger as I once did, Rostam, my son, has grown to be like a tall cypress and deserves the diadem of greatness. He needs a war horse. I'm really sorry. We're just about to read one of my favorite parts as well. One more time, he needs a war horse, and none of our Arab horses are equal to the task. We must find him a mammoth mount, and I will inquire everywhere for one. I shall ask Rostam if he agrees to my plan and remind him that he was born to fight against the seed of Sajjam. I shall see he's ready for a task." And all the cities of Iran rejoiced to hear his words. Zal sent out messengers in every direction and had artwork manufactured for his horsemen. So this is the deal. Do you remember? I'm going to pause for a bit because this is important. Do you remember that when Rostam was born, Simurg herself had to intervene because the baby was too big for his mum? The life of Rudabe was actually in danger. So also when he was growing up, he was unnaturally big, and he grew up so quickly, much quicker than other kids his age. What is that? Because Rostam is the big hero, and his size and weight cannot be burned by any other animal on earth. So that's the reason Zal says that the Arab horses that they have in Iran, they're not up for the task because they're not strong enough. There needs to be a special horse, a special friend, and a special companion for Rostam in what's starting to be his adventures. And what do you think, Butcher? This horse does exist, and we now are entering the story of how Rostam gets his horse. And let me just address this quickly. I'm going to come back to this. But horses in the Shāh-nāmeh are like the earth, are like the environment, the cactus. They have an active role to play, and their importance is much larger than we could just come up with the first thought. It's great and amazing how important these animals are, how fundamental they are. This is one of the reasons I actually wanted to research about Simurg, the importance of animals in the Persianate culture and arts and literature and poetry. So now we are going to see how Rostam chooses a horse. Zal said to Rostam, "You have grown so tall. Your cypress body towers above us all. The work that lies ahead of us will keep our restless spirits from their food and sleep. You're still a boy, not old enough to fight. Your heart still looks for pleasure and delight. Your mouth still smells of milk. How can I ask you to take on the seasoned warrior's task? To fight with lion warriors and beat them back until they scatter in defeat. What do you say to this? What will you do? May health and greatness always partner you." So basically, this is something I think is sweet. I don't know if sweet is a proper word, but it is human. Zal has come to his boy, and even if Rostam is grown in height, in muscles, he's still a young boy, and Zal kind of has second thoughts about this and prefers to speak to him to see if he thinks he's ready for the fight, because as he mentioned, like, his mouth still smells, that's a difficult thing for me to say in English, still smells like milk from the wet nurse and from his mum. So it is a way of saying, you're still very young, but I am sorry. I need you. We all need you, because there's no way we're gonna be able to overcome this by ourselves. Rostam has one of these qualities every hero has, that once you encounter him, you know of their greatness. You identify a hero. You know, this is like epic theory and epic literature theory. I don't want to bore you with this, but basically just stick with the thought that Zal goes to ask him about what he wants to do. He doesn't want to force anything upon him, but still there is this pressure and like, look, I really don't want to be pushy here, but we're kind of in the middle of something and we were hoping you could give us a hand, because you are basically the most powerful human being in the entire creation under the seven skies. So would you please? And this is what Rostam answers. Pleasure and wine, feasting and rest are no concern of mine. Hard pressed in war or onto the battlefield, with God to aid me, I shall never wield. Salam Nainjun, Hobby. I need to capture with my noose a horse of mountain size and weight, of mammoth force. I need to crack like mace if I am to stand against Turan, defending the land of Iran. I'll crush their heads with this tremendous mace, and none shall dare oppose me face to face. Its weight will break an elephant. One blow from it will make a bloody river flow. So what do you think? He is ready. Oh, mama, he's so ready for this. And he is aware that he needs a proper horse. So yeah, we're gonna get to him. Because yes, the horse is a him. I'm so excited. Zal was so moved by his son's words that his soul seemed about to leave his body. So Rostam is more than ready. He's ready for this jelly and he's coming in hard towards war. But he's very much aware that he needs a horse. So Rostam goes to choose. Zal had all the herds of horses that were in Zabolistan, as well as some from Kabul, driven before Rostam. And the herdsmen explained to him the royal brands they bore, the finest of the finest, the best of the best horses are displayed before Rostam. So he's able to pick one of them. What do you think? The story comes with a twist. Whenever Rostam selected a horse, as soon as he pressed down on it, the horse's back would buckle beneath his strength so that his belly touched the ground. No horse is able to carry Rostam around. But then a herd of horses of varying colors from Kabul was driven past him, and a grey mare galloped by. She had a chest like a lion's and was short-legged. Her ears were pricked like glittering daggers. Her fore and hindquarters were plump, and she was narrow-waisted. Behind her came a foal of the same height and breadth of chest and rump as his mother, black-eyed and holding his tail high, with black testicles and iron hooves. His body was a wonder to behold, like saffron petals, mottled red and gold. The cape of this horse is coloured like roses and gold. This is a very special creature, don't you think? Rostam watched the mare go by, and when he saw the mammoth-bodied foal, he looped his lariat and said, "Keep that foal back from the herd." The old herdsman who had brought the horses said, "My lord, you can't take all the people's horses." Rostam asked who owned the horse, since its rump bore no trace of any brand. The herdsman said, "Don't look for a brand, my lord, but there are many tales told about these horse. No one knows who owns him. We call him Raksh, Lion. And that's all I know. He's been ready to be saddled for 3 years now, and a number of nobles have chosen him. But whenever his mother sees a horseman's lariat, she attacks like a lioness." Rostam flung his royal lariat and quickly caught the horse's head in its noose. The mother came forward, raging like a lioness, as if she wanted to bite Rostam's head off. But Rostam roared like a lion, and the sound of his voice stopped the mare in her tracks. She stumbled, then scrambled up again and turned and galloped off to join the rest of the herd. So yeah, this is how Rostam gets his horse. He screams at the mother, he screams at the mare with all the strength his lungs can muster. Like an authentic savage, he roars back at her. And this is the thing, the mare wanted someone, the mare, what she wanted was someone that was worth of riding her son. The guy's kind of weird. He's Rostam and we love him for that, but yeah. Every time this mare charged forward to attack a horseman that was intending to hold Raksh, what happened is that they drew back in fear. They were scared by the presence of the mother. However, Rostam is not scared whatsoever. He faces her. He confronts her. And in that moment, even if the mayor is a little bit scared because, you know, just a random human guy screamed at you for apparently no reason, even if she's scared, she recognizes the prowess of Rostam. Did you hear what I said before about being like all the characters being able to identify heroes? The mayor does. The mayor identifies Rostam as someone who's worthy of riding her foal. There's a reason she draws back. Rostam tightened the noose and pulled the foal toward himself. He pushed down with all his hero strength on the foal's back, but the back did not give at all, and it was as if the foal was unaware of Rostam's hand. Raksh is so strong that he could not just he barely feels the touch of Rostam's hand. Rostam said to himself, "This will be my mount. Now I can set to work. He will be able to bear the weight of my armor, helmet and mace, and my mammoth body." Then he asked the herdsman, who knows the price of this dragon, because very often Raksh is compared to a dragon. And I love that, as you can imagine. The herdsman replied, "If you are Rostam, then mount him and defend the land of Iran. The price of this horse is Iran itself, and mounted on his back, you will be the world's savior." Rostam's coral lips smiled, and he said, "It is God who does such work." Well said, Rostam. He set a saddle on Raksh, and his head whirled with thoughts of war and vengeance. He opened Raksh's mouth, and saw that he was a swift, strong, courageous horse. Each night, Rostam burned wild roe before him to ward off evil. This is so beautiful, because we get to see through the friendship of Raksh and Rostam, because yes, I don't think of Rostam and Raksh as owner and possession, rather as a friendship, a companionship. They draw back into each other, they support each other. Rostam would be dead without Raksh, and the Book of Kings, you know, the poem would prove that to you, just in time. But I think of them as friends. One of the blessings of Rostam, because, you know, I don't particularly like him, but one thing has to be said, he's great with animals because he cares and he understands animals. And he establishes a relationship with Raksh, even if he's its master, because Raksh is, you know, at the end of the day, he is his horse. He manages to create a bond between the two that works and goes beyond understanding. And if you have pets, have you ever ridden a horse? Have you engaged with horse riding? This bond needs to exist. Take it from me. This connection, this understanding, if it exists, everything goes smoother. Everything. Let me tell you that, everything. And of course, Raksh is not a normal horse. It's a very special one. It was great. It is great. It's amazing. Through the friendship of Rostam and Raksh, we get to learn how people treated their horses back in Iran. For example, we get to know that the herds would just go about and the horseman would catch the horse they were interested in, for example. And also that they would burn wild roe before the beast, to ward off evil, which is something that I love. And they will hang a special talisman on their chest to protect them. So from every side, Raksh seemed to be a magical creature, swift in battle, with large haunches, alert and foaming in the mouth. Something very beautiful in here is that the poem is delivering the message that Raksh and Rostam are equal. They're very similar in character. Their personalities are very much alike. They're both energetic. They're both sturdy. They're both abnormally strong. They have courageous hearts. They're noble. They have a war-oriented spirit. They are very much up for the fight. And they have this will, this flaming blood, as the Arabs said, and they're like boiling in their veins. Do you know the concept of boiling blood? But in a positive way, in a very positive way. They're energetic. That's what I meant. And And I really like that. I just really, really like that. Raksh and his novel rider seem to bring to Zal's reviving heart the joy of spring. The sight of them, horse and mount, is something to contemplate that brings a lot of happiness onto Zal's heart, because they create this image of hope both together, and something I think is very beautiful. Zal opened the doors to his treasury and distributed gold coins, careless of today and tomorrow. He's just very happy. He's just very happy his boy has grown. Ooh, all right, I'm really sorry. All right, how far do I want to go? Let me just check, because are you in a hurry, Butcher? Because it might take a little while. Because now we start the story of Rostam and Qaykobad. Not the same Qobad that died. See, something very tricky about epic poetry, and especially about this epic poem here, is that people tend to have the same names over and over and over. So, I don't know what to do. There's a quite long. All right, I'm gonna continue for a little bit longer, and then we'll go from there. You have to leave. Don't worry, Azizam. You know that you can listen to this later. Just let me. There you go. Much better. There better. So. What did I just do? All right, never mind. I watched later because I missed the beginning. Don't worry, anytime you like. Name June, since you're here, because I asked her. Thank you so much, Lisa, for the gift. Oh, you've gifted too. Oh, Mrs. Rock and Señorita Rock. Now you have a subscription from Sacerdotisa. Thank you so much, Azizam. Oh my God, you're just a gem. You are a gem. Now you have a feather in your name, Señorita. So, that's so cute. Thank you so much, Sacerdotisa. Naim or Sacerdotisa, could you just pop the playlist on YouTube to all the English reading of the Shāh-nāmeh just in here, please? Oh, thanks for the gifted tip, Azizam. Oh, I love when you do that. You were just so cute, all of you. I'm just gonna. You know what? No, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna pause here, because what comes is. It would be better not to just cut this, if you know what I mean. Like, it just I rather read the story of Rostam and Qaykobad on one go, and then have a separate part with another kingdom. So yeah, I think we're gonna stop. So sorry. Let's just do this dramatic closing, shall we? Zar opened the doors to his treasury and distributed gold coins, careless of today and tomorrow. And here is where we're going to stop. I could have read a little bit more, but actually the part that comes, I'd rather read it in one go. You know, and sometimes people are grateful for shorter. I know that some of you would stay here like long and long with me, so that's something I very much appreciate. Yet we it's wise to know when to stop. So yeah. Oh, and so much is coming, because now we are venturing into the world of Rostam, and if you want to extend this a little bit, let me just allow myself a little bit of chit chat about Rostam. It is true that I do not like him, but why do I say that? How come I dislike a character such as Rostam? It's because the classical figure of the hero doesn't quite do it for me. Some of them do, Rostam not particularly, yet that doesn't mean I dislike everything about him. For example, I really like his handful with animals, the way he behaves around animals. Really cool about that. He's a little bit of a brute, not gonna lie. He tends to think that brute force is basically the solution to everything, and that is not something that resonates with me. I much rather prefer his father. His father's a fighter too, but first he is the step kid of of Simurg, and second of all, he's just my favorite. So he screams to horse, right? Like I think that nobody possibly could have gathered the thought on their mind that the trick to get Raksh was to scream at his mother, just at the mare. Imagine the herdsman's face. Please do imagine, just portray yourself, put yourself in that man's shoes. You're just there, minding your own business, taking care of the horses, and then there comes another person that wants the special horse you own. Sure, no problem, you give them the proper indications, such as blah blah blah, no one has been able to tame this horse because the mom is very protective, blah blah blah, and this is that. You don't say anything else, you are about to go about your day, and then this young creature, this young human being, that's like, by the way, almost 3 meters tall or something like that, faces the furious and ravenous mare, screams at her, and that's, I don't know what you do afterwards. That you just and says, "Hey, I'm gonna take this horse. Is that okay with you, good man?" And you just say, "That's what I would call a normal Tuesday. Sure, son. Just enjoy your new horse. What do you want me to say?" Yeah, I sometimes want to think how the not supernatural characters in the Shāh-nāmeh would feel around the very supernatural characters. Just imagine Zal and Rudabeh. Hi men, how are you? Ah! Exactly like that. So just Zal and Rudabeh. OTP of my life and heart, ultimate goals in partnership, amazing couple. But yet, Zal is not just albino, but Zal has been brought up in the supernatural. So just imagine those two comparing anecdotes. Childhood anecdotes. What would Rudabeh say? Rudabeh would tell Zal about her cousins and some gossip in court all the time. This person almost choked on the milk when they were drinking, or the scandal or embarrassment of these or the other party. And then her husband would reply with anecdotes about the party, the jinn, Simurg, and her chicks, Mount Damoban. So it would be like, yeah. Oh no, yeah, I totally understand. Like, isn't it a bummer when you are trying to practice with your bow and arrow, and then a jinn comes in the middle of it and starts a fight with the dragon that was just peacefully sleeping next to you, and then the whole mountain shakes? Life, am I right? And then you're like, sure. I just had a very annoying older sister, but that's Zal is like, my best friend is a jinn, by the way. Totally. Yeah. And he would ask questions like, "Hey, Rudabeh, my love, at what age did you learn to kill your first dragon?" She would be like, "Excuse me?" How old were you when you rode your first ruch? Because I was a precocious child, did it at 5. What about you? And they'd be like, what in the good old nation under the 7 skies is a ruch? So I really want to think about them as like sharing this, comparing stories, and like, oh, they fill my heart. Anyway, I love the Book of Kings. I do love the Book of Kings, and I hope sometime oh, I don't know if you knew, but do you remember when we watched here? What was it, in Feathers of Fire, this puppet show by Hamid Rahmanian? They are doing a new show called Song of the North that tells the story of Bijan and Manijeh, which are one of my favorite couples too. They're very fun. Bijan is just like, he's a gem. He's a gem. Manijeh though, she's an empowered female, but Bijan is very fun, or at least he evokes very much tender feelings, like this sentiment of like warmth in my heart, because he's such a puppy. So yeah, but they're doing that. They're throwing the show. I think they're starting next month. I know, but I would love to go, but it's only happening in the States. So they record it and it's allowed. We just upload it to Vimeo. Worry not, we'll watch it together because I want to watch it. I'm a big fan of Hamid Rahmanian's work, so yeah, that's for sure. Anyway, Bacha, thank you for joining me in this morning. I was gonna say, in this Monday live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Bijan was an asshole in the campaign against Forud. I mean, I think, first of all, hi, I didn't know you were here. I really invite you to find a character in the Shāh-nāmeh that at some point does not behave like an asshole. Even Zal is not free from that. Like, just nah, everyone is. Even Simone is a little bit of a sassy queen sometimes. But yeah, thank you so much for joining the live stream. I hope you enjoy it. I'm happy to be back. And yes, I hope the stream schedule is coming back to normal because, you know, I have to pass my Viva. What else can I tell you? And, you know, life. And yeah, just thank you so much to all of that who've joined me. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon. Dear patrons, thank you for those gifted subs. Lisa, thank you so much. You're a gem. And if you want to catch up with the project, you can follow me on the social links. And thank you, Naim June. Have a good day. You too. Hello, Loco. Oh my God, you guys were here. I didn't know. That is so great. I missed you. How are you? Is everything good? And yeah, you know, hopefully, I need to redo the image of the schedule because I just realized today that's very outdated. That was from like last year. Something like that, and I need to redo that, but I will. And yeah, thank you so much for being here, accompanying me. I really hope you have a lovely week ahead of you. And if you want more content, you can follow my socials. If you want more content, you can join us next week for another live stream. And yeah, just have a very lovely rest of the evening and the rest of the week. And as I always tell you, create, explore, and have fun. Until I see you next time, I bid you Khuda Hafiz!